All right, so yeah, Coach, thank you so much for joining us today. So, just to give you a little background about who we are, I kind of talked to you briefly when I came into your office a couple weeks ago and gave you a little snapshot, but wasn't really the full thing. So, we're a spring football podcast where we primarily talk about the UFL, which is the United Football League, and it's an up and coming spring football league that is attracting lots of new viewers. But players that have been in this league have been able to re-enter the professional football league in the NFL, and it's helped players, no matter what their statures have been, to get back to the NFL at a high level. So it's really nice because the league helps us, be better people, like just to understand that not every player is the same and that everybody has different skill sets. So that's kind of a little intro about us. We did have one other member that was going to join us today, but he told us that something came up, so he wasn't able to. He actually was the member that knows a little bit more about arena football than all of us, so he might have been able to pick your brain a little bit more than us. But we'll still have our normal thing that we usually do with Q&A. So I'm just gonna go ahead, guys, to introduce you to Coach Matt Rahn. So he's been an arena football player. He played for 13 years for an array of teams across an array of leagues. He's coached at Harper College and now at the College of DuPage, which is the college that I attend. And he's been coaching such as the offensive line. I believe you played nose tackle, Coach. Is that correct?
I played nose tackle basically whole life, college,
Yeah.
rookie year of arena ball, and then I got switched over to the offensive side. So my last 12 years of professional football was offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's a good transition. Like, what position did you feel was like the best fit for you in terms of like your skill set and what you had?
Yeah, definitely center.
Center.
I think as I got older, I grew into different positions. When
Yeah.
I first got into college, I was basically a thin defensive lineman.
Mhm.
By the time I finished college, I was the perfect size for D line, and then the arena football game is a lot quicker than outdoor football.
Yep.
Being on the smaller field, condensed. So I think as a defensive lineman in arena football, I was marginal at best. But moving me off over to the offensive side allowed me to use my athletic ability and be more of a difference maker. I was more of a athletic offensive lineman as opposed to a marginal defensive lineman.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you like being on offense more than defense, but it sounds like you were both on the lines on both sides, respective sides, for majority of your career or almost the entire career. So that's definitely cool because we see a lot of like offensive line today, like they have different, like regimens that they have. I don't know like what your exact regimen was like when you were preparing for games or like your game plan. I know it differs from player to player, but yeah, that's definitely interesting. But I can open it up to you guys, AJ and Diego, which are, by the way, so just to introduce you to them. So Diego is actually both AJ and Diego are friends of mine. We actually met in an Instagram group chat back when the USFL was a league and the XFL then became more established. But I met them both in a group chat, and Diego, ironically, does reside in Illinois, and he goes to ISU currently. But then AJ is down in Alabama, where I think you just graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so AJ is so they're both actually Birmingham Stallions fans in the UFL, which is a team that now has won all three championships, similarly to how we're three-peat. We've been a three-peat team, and Coach, you've been a part of two of those championships. So, but yeah, so just to give you a little backstory about who they are, in case you thought that I was just, I just found two people here and I just put them into a call with us, but no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
But
Nice to meet you, fellas.
yeah,
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, I can open it up to you guys. I wanna try to like distribute the question asking as much as I can here. So whatever you guys have ready. If not, I can fire another one away.
Yeah, I got one. Hey, Coach Rahn, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
So you said that you played center,
hmm
correct? So is there any quarterback that was your favorite to play with?
Uh, I love them all. It's a center quarterback bond. It's basically like a pitcher and a catcher,
Yeah,
the football version of that. I played with some good ones. Probably one of the most notable, Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty from Kentucky.
yeah,
Yeah,
Uh, I was his center for a year. Um, Played with a bunch of Division One, bunch of guys that had cups of coffee in the NFL.
mm,
But I was usually one of the quarterback's favorites. Any team I've been to, I always took pride in being that guy. The quarterback didn't have to worry about my snap. The center is a niche position, definitely in arena football. There's a lot of guys that can block anybody, but they can't get that ball back to the quarterback. And I realize that, um, I'd probably win jobs away from guys that might be better blockers than me as long as I get that ball back and make sure that quarterback can just focus on what he has to do.
yeah. I mean that's really interesting. I know it showed a lot of teams that you played with. So like the Slaughter, the Raptors, the Beef, the Blitz. So like you probably played with a lot of quarterbacks, and so that might have been a little tough for you to narrow down.
hmm
But yeah, AJ, what do you think? Do you think that was a hard question for him to answer, or do you think it's a little bit easier knowing that he's played with a lot of different teams?
I mean that's awesome that you played with so many guys.
Yeah,
I know that in my opinion, it's one of the most important on offense. I know everybody looks at the quarterback, but the
yeah,
center is the one that has to give them the ball every play.
yep,
Yeah.
So I feel like I feel like they're not looked at as important as they really are.
hmm
I think the quarterbacks and skill guys get all the show, but I feel like the offensive line is one of the more important parts of your offense that'll get them going.
yep.
Yeah. Usually offensive linemen only get noticed for bad reasons.
Yeah,
The only time you're relevant is when you're missing a block, sending
Yep,
that ball over the quarterback's head, doing something you shouldn't.
yep. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I know offensive linemen like similarly like how you can say the same thing for like defensive backs, like they only get mentioned when, they allow a lot of, a big reception or a touchdown, but yeah, so I definitely think, similarly to what AJ was saying that you guys are undervalued and and every offensive lineman that plays football today is just undervalued because of how much they really bring to the table. So but yeah, so um, Diego, if you have anything, we can go ahead, kind of get one for one here, or I can go ahead and fire away another one here for Coach.
Yeah, no problem. Coach Ron, this one comes from all of us on this current question. Um, as a back to back champion of COD, um, I know it's not an easy task to uh, go out there and just coach this team of guys that you see every day. And just my question is, how do you keep your players focused every week when it comes to games? It may be when it comes to an overwhelming moment in the game under pressure, or just really just when you see each other every day on this daily basis. How do you face that?
Good question. Actually, to correct you guys, it's back to back to back national
Yeah,
championships.
yeah.
three times.
Mhm.
So we've won
Sorry about
the
that,
last
Coach.
3 years. That's all right. Um, Great question. So one thing that's great about this program and great about the kids that we have here is we're different. A lot of people think they know junior college football based on watching Last Chance U. And if our program ever goes in that direction, I'll go sell insurance or do something different. Um, we win because we got kids that are really good at football, but
Yep.
they're better human beings than the guys we go against. We got some recruiting philosophies. For instance, we will rarely, if ever, take a bounce back, and that's somebody that was on scholarship, usually at Division One program, that got in trouble somewhere. You know, who we really strive for in recruiting are kids that did well academically, did things right, that maybe we feel and they feel they were under recruited based on the offers they had out of high school. And we give them a platform to grow, develop, mature, and showcase that what they can do against some of the top talent in the country, um, you know, at the college level. So they're not going to a Division III school and trying to enter the transfer portal with no film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been working for us. So on paper, you know, we shouldn't beat the teams we beat. We shouldn't be as competitive as we are. Um, but paper doesn't mean anything when you have to strap the pads on and play. So we always tell the kids, you know, don't forget who we are and why we're successful. And that's because we do the things the right way. Where deep attention to detail is huge in our program. You know, for guys to make it to game day in our program, for guys to make it through a season and multiple seasons, that means they made a lot of sacrifices to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if, for one, you know, I talked to a lot of coaches at junior college level, and they're like, yeah, we have trouble getting guys to be consistent with workouts, weights, practices, all that stuff. You know, if guys aren't coming to practice here, they're gone. We get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how good they are. If they're not going to class, if they're not being respectful to their teachers, if they're not adding value to the community here, we'll get rid of them. It doesn't matter how good they are. The football, if they can't add those other pieces to the puzzle, then we don't have a spot for them. And then, you know, every year we've unfortunately had to get rid of some very, very good players. That guys that for sure would help us on the field. But each year when we do that, our team gets better and better and better. And it's because we have good football players that are better human beings than the guys we're going against. So the way we keep them motivated is we, you know, keep the stories of guys of what they had coming into our program and the scholarships they left with, all those stories on the forefront of their mind. And then we also just double down on the fact that it's a culture here. It's how we operate. It's how we do things. You're here for a purpose. You know, if you don't like the situations you had coming out of high school and you're here for a reason, you got to do things differently than other people to get the offers you didn't get. So we keep them remind them of who we are and how we operate.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely interesting because a lot of like spring football teams have like the same like philosophies as like a junior college would have. How like if you don't add if you don't add value to our roster, whether you're a player or whether about your contributions off the field, in the community, then there isn't a spot for you on the roster, and you'll get cut and you'll get moved somewhere else. So I mean, that's a big similarity between like being doubted and like as a junior college, you might not have like the most traditional story as a player, and for us for like COD to or like another junior college to like put that on the broad scale is definitely something you don't see every day. So, but that
Yeah, us. I guess the difference between you know our culture and then the USFL and even arena football teams is one thing that I in some ways I wish it was different, but it is a blessing in disguise, the fact that we get scholarship.
yeah.
We are all fully scholarship. We beat those guys. It's different than the professional leagues is when you're on scholarship somewhere or you're getting paid to play, you have to contribute on the field to even have the opportunity to be a good member in member in the locker room, good member of the community, all that stuff. If you're not
Mhm.
contributing on the field, they're not going to have you around.
Yeah.
If we're wrong on somebody in recruiting, if a kid's not as good as we thought he'd be, he's not a business decision to me. I don't
Mhm.
have to get rid of him to get that scholarship money to give to somebody else. So we've had a lot of success, um, with being able having the opportunity to put our arms around guys, give them a little love, help them develop, be more patient with them for the physical aspect that they might not have had in any other program, and because of that, a lot of guys have come in here and got stuff they never thought they'd dream of. Even guys that didn't play as much as they want, still getting full ride scholarships out of here. And that's because, I feel is we don't give scholarships. It is a blessing in disguise. There's not
Mhm.
a dollar sign attributed to each kid on our team. It's a person, and we treat them like people. But with that also comes them having to uphold their end of the bargain, which is be a good student, be a good member of the community, and all that.
Yeah, yeah, that's those are some really good points as well. And again, they do relate. Those do relate, coach, to like spring football leagues because they don't pay their players as high of a salary as they might in the NFL. I know I saw a league minimum in the NFL is what like near a $500,000, whereas the UFL, there was a punter last year who had a post showing that salaries like upwards of 90,000. So it's significantly less, but the end goal is obviously to get to bigger and better things, and that's some of the things that you attribute to the players, and you try to like you try to display to the players so that they can go on to better like a bigger and better place and play a better level of football. So
Yeah.
but,
With what you're saying with that though,
yeah.
you know, well, let me ask, what is the league minimum of the USFL?
So right now it's the UFL. So the two leagues are
I'm sorry,
merged.
UFL.
No problem. So I think so. Like I think the maximum is like around 95,000. It's not so. A lot of the players, I think like the majority of the players now like have NFL experience. Like there's no they a lot of them are financially settled, and it's not financially the financial aspect is not really like the focus. The focus is can you be 30 years old, 30 years and older. If you're a player like kind of on that bridge part of your career, like 28, 29, and you kind of found like a like a dead spot, and you're trying to enter the NFL, like that's really where the league strides the most because all of those bridge players try to find their way back into the NFL, and a lot of them have for various positions like practice squad. In my eyes is still really important. Even if you've haven't accomplished much on the field, you're still you've made it to the NFL in some way, shape, or form. And like there have been players like there's two specialists on the Dallas Cowboys now who were former spring football players, Cavante Turpin and Brandon Aubrey, who have both been Pro Bowlers in their time since leaving the USFL and going into the NFL. So they've made a career out for themselves, and we already have lots of players from this past season who have made their way into the NFL, and we're looking for them to be even more successful than these previous players.
I'm so happy there is now a platform.
Yeah.
Almost more of an outdoor minor league system, but I guess my days of in playing arena football where I had to work jobs, second, third jobs year round to be able to do it. I'm kind of numb to it because you got to think about it this way. The average household income throughout the United States is 50 to 70,000, somewhere in there. I don't have the exact number.
Yep.
And these guys are making that for a job. They only have to work 4 months a year playing a sport.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're living the dream. They are, any don't feel bad for any of those guys and what they're making, because they can go get a job if it's not enough for them. But they are doing better than the average American while only working 4 months out of the year. I mean, I guess the hard part about it is the wear and tear on your body that it does.
Yep.
But something that always resonates in my head is Steve McMichael, who just got nominated into the Hall of Fame, was a coach of mine and became pretty close with that. I got tons of respect for the guy and who he is as a man. But I had a talk with him when all the CTE stuff was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, of course I have it. And he goes, I have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. Every day, everything hurts. Stuff I'm dealing with right now. And he goes, everyone I played with, we all knew what we signed up for. And he goes, if any of them tell you they regret a single snap, they're a liar. Any of us would go back and do it all again. The pain is definitely worth it because they're playing a game. You're making an income off playing a game, and you got to have a passion for it. And if somebody doesn't, they're making a decision to put their body through that for something they don't love, but they're still getting compensated very well for it.
Yeah, and even then, the UFL still has a system where they allow their players to like live on kind of like it's not really a bubble system, but they still live with the team like in a hotel, so they don't even have to pay for housing necessarily, like for those for that part of the year at least, for the 4 months, right? So it's, it's a lot of salary, and, there might not be many expenses like in that part of the year for them. So it's definitely beneficial for all of the players, and could be even better if, they get back to the league in some way. So, but yeah, that was very conversational, and that was really good. But we're gonna go ahead and continue on the questions if you don't mind, Coach.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just start with one. So, what is the most important? I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is the most important coaching trait that you possess now in order to like maintain a winning formula? Like, like what kind of keeps everybody going in the right direction? And if that was a little too similar to what Diego asked, I can ask you a different one. But
No, uh, treat players like players and trust your coaches.
yeah.
I have a tremendous staff around me.
Hmm.
I'm very lucky, and a lot of it has to do with the location of the College of DuPage,
Yep.
where I'm able to get these guys that are in the community already
Yep.
because of just the community here. And they have a wealth of football knowledge. They have tons of connections as far as getting our guys recruited out.
Mhm.
I feel like our backgrounds, our X's and O's, scheme wise, my coaching staff is second to none at this level. So I make it a point where, and I'm a very opinionated person. I always know what I want to do. I always have an opinion about it. But if, one of my coaches, one of my coordinators come to me and tells me something or suggests something, um, I don't disregard it. I listen to it. I definitely always take a deep breath and make sure that I'm not digging my heels in on it, because at the end of the day, if I don't trust these guys, why are they here?
Hmm.
And these guys are here because I trust them, love them like family. So I'd be doing them a disservice if I wasn't allowing their football expertise, which some of them are more experts in the game in some aspects than I am. Um, Let that shine through, and then treating the kids like people. The other players are student athletes. A lot of them are away from home for the first time. A lot of them are dealing with stuff they've never seen in life. They're in a community that's not like the community they grew up in.
Hmm.
There, there's going to be more on their table than just football and school. And so, like, no, letting these kids know that me and the rest of the coaching staff and then administrators here, we don't just look at them as student athletes. If they need something, we try to help them the best of our ability. Um, they're not just a number to us, and we're here to help them navigate through this. Because at the end of the day, I feel like my job is not, winning games on Saturdays. My job is to develop these guys and prepare them and help them earn opportunities to get to the next level and then be successful when they're there. So treating the kids as people and not just a player, and it's even with my own family. No family's perfect, and everyone has arguments with their family. But as long as everyone knows that they love each other and they're all in it for the same reason, you can get past all the other stuff. So it's just very important to my staff and the kids on the team that they know that they're more than just a student athlete to us. They're people. We care about them, and we're not making it rich coaching them. I'll tell you that right now. But all I want from them in return is for them to be the best version of themselves. I want to see them be successful.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's a great answer, because we see a lot of the time, like, programs don't prioritize, like their students' health and their students' well-being, and it seems, I know for a fact that we do, with other programs that we have, like, like any sport or any club that we have, like, it really is the person first, and then like you'll worry about the other stuff. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm gonna open it up to you guys again. If you guys have any other questions, um, feel free to fire away.
So, Coach Rahn, you played at DuPage, right? You played
Yep.
there, and you were able to be there as a player, and now you're here as a coach. How does it feel from once playing to now being here, and now that you're here, you're winning? How does that feel for you?
I love it. I take a lot of pride in that. When I was coming out of high school, College of DuPage was the only school that had its door open for me to come play football. I was one of those guys that grew late in high school. My junior year, I was like 5'9", 185 pounds and chubby, and then my senior year, I was 6'2", 205 pounds and thin. And when you hit a growth spurt like that, you can't really walk and chew gum at the same time. So going into my senior year of football, I didn't have the most successful year as far as being a coordinated athlete that people are looking to give a scholarship or an opportunity to. But I definitely started putting together towards the end of the year. My high school coach at the time told me that he felt my best football was ahead of me, and I should really pursue college football. And I went to some local D3 schools with some friends, and they took my friends in the football offices and pointed me to the admissions department. So I realized that those spots weren't for me, and College of DuPage was willing to offer me a spot. I came here, and I didn't expect anything to come out of it. I think we had like around 16 defensive tackles, and I was probably number 16 out of them.
Mhm.
Start training camp my freshman year, and then next thing you know, I'm the backup by the first game, and I thought it was going to be like high school, where it's just the starters play, and so I prepared myself mentally for that. And the fourth play of the game, the defensive line coach looked back and said, "Get in." And so uh, I really found a new passion for the game, having people believe in me, getting the opportunity that I felt I didn't have in high school. And then I just grew more into my body. I had a lot of recruiting attention, but I lost some opportunities because of my grades, which caused me to have to go the NAI route. But I was still able to get a scholarship out of here, get my education paid for. Couldn't play at the Division I level like I hoped, but at the end of the day, I never even thought that would have been possible walking in here. And so when you see shows like Last Chance U,
Mhm.
it I hate it and I like it. I like it for the fact it shows you the level of competition here. I hate it because I feel like it's a black eye on junior college football, and it's my mission, it's my goal to keep this program what it was for me, and that's a stepping stone to go on and do bigger and better things. And that's why I'm very very protective to not let it turn into the Last Chance you of the world, and to make sure that we keep doing the things the right way here, getting the right kids, getting the kids that want this opportunity, uh, and not kids that unfortunately have to come to this opportunity. And I think that's what makes us different. I realized when I came back here as an assistant in 2014, um, very early on, it was my goal to do whatever I have to do to stick it out, be an assistant here as long as I had to at least get an opportunity to interview for the head coaching job. And fortunately, when the job opened up, I was able to get the job. And I'm very proud to be here. And something that makes me even more proud is when guys that I played here with, um, guys that actually played against in arena ball that went through this program years after me, um, all tell me how proud they are of where the program is right now. That means so much to me, hearing it from those guys, hearing it from the guys that were at College Page even before me, hearing that they're happy with the way things are here. Like, I take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. You've had really good connections like all throughout, and they still keep up with like they still keep in touch with you today. Um, and it's great that now like you're coaching this program. But like kind of going off of that point, I don't want to make this like take away from Diego's question here, but was the program kind of like how was the program similar to how you run the place now when you were there, or were there differences?
A lot of differences.
A lot of
So
differences.
back in the Bob McDougall days, before my time here,
Yeah.
the program was very. There's a lot of local kids. They still had out of state kids on the team. They still had guys that were coming from different communities here, but the bulk of the team was Illinois guys, local-ish guys to the College of DuPage district.
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, College of DuPage lost the program in 1997 and 1998, and they got it back in 1999. So my freshman year playing here was 2000, so it was the second year that they got the program back here, and it was the coach was local to the community here, and I think just by default, just trying to build a roster, he was able to get a lot of local guys in.
Hmm.
So I was Wheaton North. We had a handful of guys I played high school ball with here. We had a lot of Naperville kids, Wheaton South kids, Glenbard North kids, Glenbard West kids, kind of really building up the nucleus of the team. And so that's what I knew. I knew, the local connection here. how good it was for the community, for local kids to come in here, earn opportunities, and get out. Unfortunately, my sophomore year, we had a new coach come in,
Mhm.
a coach that didn't have any community ties, a coach that, um, for whatever reason, turned his back on the local community here and really recruited out of state kids. And because of that, the program really went, um, you know, in a direction that it shouldn't have gone. We a lot of fighting amongst teams. It was like a regular junior college program. All the issues a lot of other programs have.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, Matt Foster, who was my high school coach, took the program over here. And Matt Foster was one of the assistants from McDougal back in the 90s. And one of the great things that Foster was able to do that I continue to try to uh, improve on is mend the relationships with the local high school players that were burnt from previous staffs. And Foster did an amazing job rebuilding that. I'm trying to continue that, and we'll just keep doing it that way. We'll never be able to feel the whole roster with local kids here,
Hmm.
but as long as we make sure that the kids that need the opportunity from this area that can play at this level get that opportunity, and then we really only look outside for guys we feel can come be absolute difference makers. I think we'll still continue to go in the right direction, keeping this what it is which is um, looking at the Illinois, the local kids first before we go outside that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to follow up because AJ did ask a pretty interesting question of how you were a former player for the program and you're a current coach and a lot of coaches and a lot of like football figures go that route where they end up playing and then coach later in their careers. So it's great that you're doing this now. Because having played, you know a lot of football and you know a lot of kind of like the ins and outs of like how to run a program. So, um, but yeah, Diego, if you have anything, if not, I can ask Coach something else here.
Yeah, and just kind of just go back to all the things that you answered about just your time at COD and just as a coach in general. It's just great to hear just really just how much of an opportunity that you provide to these kids who go to COD, which is a community college compared to the much larger institutions, and just how you guys still try to provide the chance overall. And I think with this next question is gonna draw back to maybe when you were still playing or maybe while in your time. My question is there a certain coach, let's say from the NFL or really any coach in professional sports in general, that you've looked up at or just really just has influenced the way that you coach these guys every year?
Um, I guess the influence. I try to take influence from everyone that I come across. A lot of the coaches I see, whether somebody is at your level, higher than your level, below your level, you can always pull valuable things from people. So my coaching style, how I operate, I try to pull from as many different sources as I can to be successful. But a coach that I really look up to, and I wouldn't say that I try to be like him. I wouldn't say I want to follow his footsteps, but is Kalen DeBoer at Alabama.
Mm.
So my history with Kalen goes back, 22 years when he was offensive coordinator at Sioux Falls. And I was playing defensive tackle at Hastings College. And, fast forward down the road, Kalen has had a tie with the Sioux Falls Storm of the indoor football league. So I crossed his path that way.
Hmm.
And then when I came back at the College of DuPage, Kalen always recruited DuPage. It was one of his schools, no matter where he's at, whether it was Southern Illinois, I believe Eastern Michigan, Indiana, um, all the way up until he went out to the West Coast. And he was always one of those guys that was successful everywhere he went. Everyone liked him because of the personality he was. He's always able to say hi to people, remember previous conversations, and he meets hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people weekly. But he always made you feel like your conversation was important, and I really appreciate the effect that he has on people. he definitely had an effect on me. He made me feel important anytime he'd come to our offices, anytime he would call to recruit some of our players. And I hope to be able to have that effect on people too. And I just appreciate that about him, and seeing all the success he has. First of all, I'm not surprised, and I don't think there's a more deserving guy out there in the coaching ranks to get the opportunity he has now being at Alabama.
Yeah, definitely. If you're an Alabama fan, I think AJ is being living down there. Definitely things to look forward to. Knowing that you just got a nod from Coach Rahn here. That he's speaks highly of him and knows him from past connections here. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to if you're a Bama fan. If you're just a follower of football, because Bama is such a huge part of SEC football nowadays. So. Um, but yeah, I wanted to ask you, Coach, about so the UFL just had their first ever college draft yesterday. So meaning that they could draft any player, who wasn't drafted in this year's NFL draft. So meaning that if you were undrafted, you would get a chance. So that would actually fall in the line of you if you had this if the league was around at your time, you could have had the potential to be drafted. I think you were undrafted in 2005, if I'm correct. So, but the league had their first ever college draft where they selected, a magnitude of players, ranging from Sam Hartman to Keaton Slovis, and all these players are currently on NFL rosters. But essentially, what's going to happen is that if the NFL team cuts them from their opportunity, whether it's practice squad or if it's just practice squad or QB3, QB4, etc. The UFL team that selected them will retain their rights, so they will be able to go back. They will kind of have like that cushion almost that they can go back to the UFL and kind of put out some tape for these NFL scouts. But kind of on that point about the first ever college UFL draft. What advice would you give to some of these players, trying to make a 53-man roster in the NFL, or if they're trying to go to the UFL route and put out some tape to try to get back into the NFL?
First of all, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look at the value you add.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the problems with and I saw a lot with arena football.
Yeah.
I see a lot with our programs anywhere. A lot of guys aren't honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of guys that are, I'm getting screwed. I didn't get a good opportunity. If somebody's looking at you, you have an opportunity. If someone signs you to in arena football, they have 2-day waivers where you basically have to get 2 days of practice to see if they want to keep you.
Mm-hmm.
If you get an opportunity like that, make the most of it. What are you bringing to the table? I remember there's been certain years where I was kept on rosters over guys that were better than me because I could walk up and tell the guy to the right, left, behind me, wherever they were, what they were doing, what they had on each particular play, the design of the play, what we're trying to get out of it. And that goes noticed. I understood that, especially towards the end of my career, I'm not as young as these guys. I'm not as fast. But what I do have is the mental side that they didn't have. And I knew that was my key to staying around was bringing something to the table that they didn't have yet or haven't developed yet. And that came with me being honest with myself. If I would have just gone in there and say, none of these, when I was 35, 36 years old, none of these 23-year-old guys are going to be able to run with me, outlift me, do any of this stuff, I would be lying to myself because they are and they can.
Yeah.
But the fact that, there's more to it than that, and you got to figure out what you can bring to the table that others can't is what's going to get people opportunities. And it could be in anything, like I said, for me, it was the mental part of it. Skill guys, doing anything they can to add the special teams. If they're not going to, like a receiver, if he's not going to be in the top rotation, you better get your ass on all those special teams and add value. Make it hard for them not to play you. Make it hard for them to cut you, and outwork people. You always can control your effort and attitude. If you're going in there and you're bringing poor body language, bad attitude, not giving your all, then you're not giving yourself a chance. It's not the coaches. So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's great stuff because a lot of these players, are practice squad level players in the NFL. Like we all know that, but it's as a question now. Do they want to put out more tape for themselves? Do they feel like their college tape wasn't worthy enough for what they think they bring to the table? Because if they feel that they're a starter, they might try to go back to the spring football route and try to see what they can do. But if if they're content with being on a practice squad, then they still have to, earn that opportunity because, they nothing's guaranteed in any, professional football league. And if they don't make a roster, then, at least they have that cushion for themselves. So,
yeah,
but
we've kind of gotten into a culture where people feel like that if they don't see the reward right away,
mhm,
then it's never going to come.
mhm,
Luckily for my generation, I guess I'm that old now where I could say my
mhm,
generation, but my generation, we weren't used to seeing the reward on things so quickly. It wasn't it wasn't like with cell phones in our hands. And believe it or not, I didn't get my first cell phone until my fifth year of college.
mm,
Like we didn't have things at our fingertips. We didn't see things right away.
yeah,
For you to have success, it sometimes took a while,
yeah,
and we're used to it. And I think that trait what is something that really helped shape me. And one of the things I always tell our kids is just because success doesn't look like what you thought it would look like or didn't come when you wanted it to doesn't mean it's not going to be there. And we try to tell kids, and one of the hardest things is telling a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, be patient, it's only your future.
mhm.
But be patient, it's your future. Don't forgo the process because you're not willing to put in the work to see the reward that's going to come later.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, Coach, for answering that. I know it was a little bit
Mhm.
rigorous getting to the main point of it, um, but yeah, we can go ahead and open it up again here. AJ and Diego, Coach, we'll have you on here for until a couple more minutes probably. We don't want to
Okay.
take too much of your time. I know. I think you do you coach do you are you on campus on Fridays or?
Yeah, I basically live on campus now.
Oh, okay.
So from now till mid-December.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know because a lot of the staff isn't there on Fridays, but I didn't know if that applied to you
They're,
guys.
they're not
So
they're not trying to win national championships.
yeah, I gotta tell them that on Monday hopefully, but we'll see. So yeah, so if you guys have anything, feel free to ask Coach. He's open to answering you guys' questions.
Yeah, coach, I got one more for you. I won't take up too much of your time.
Hmm.
But if there was any guy that was watching this interview and they were aspiring to be a college coach, what would be maybe some advice that you would give them for them to be successful?
Do what nobody else will do. Becoming a college coach is a conventional route, which I didn't take because of playing arena football, traveling internationally, playing ball, all that stuff. Be a GA, all that stuff. But do what others aren't willing to do. A lot of people don't want to do the GA route, where they're like, I don't want to work for free. I don't want to put all those hours in. But if you want to cook that enough, do that. Um, so really stick it out. Really put your nose to it. Learn as much as you can. I'd say anyone new to coaching, if you're around a good staff, shut up for 5 years.
Hmm.
Sit and listen, soak it all in.
Yep.
If you're in your year one or year two of your coaching career, and you got guys that have been coaching 25, 30 years in there, they're not going to want to hear your idea on how to revamp the offense. They're not going to want to hear your idea of some play that you've been dreaming of. Just sit there, listen, soak it all in, and develop your own coaching style. Don't try to have a coaching style that doesn't fit your personality because you see it work with somebody else.
Mhm.
Try to see what works for you, what you've appreciated coaches to do, what you didn't like that other coaches have done, and then develop your own coaching style with it, and make people feel appreciated. It's one thing being a coach, being smart, where the kids buy into what you're doing because you've been doing it a while, and it's another thing to know what you're doing, but also have a relationship with these kids where they'll run through a brick wall for you because they know you'll do the same for them. So it's a grind. You definitely have to have a passion and love it. And if you don't, I go sell insurance. But to get into this profession, soak up everything you can, be the best human being you can, be the best leader you can be.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's great stuff. That's great advice again because every person who wants to be a coach. I know I was hearing something about from one of the faculty members at COD that the enrollment in the physical education in the course load has increased like exponentially. So it's becoming more and more popular like as the years have gone on, and we have classes like intro to coaching, intro to sport management. So like there's a lot of stuff that we offer, and it's only growing, and coaches should definitely like try to develop their own style as opposed to like emulating a coach's a coach's style a coach that they work with. So
Yep.
but yeah, so Diego, if you have anything for Coach Rahn, if not, I can give him one more of mine, and then we can open it up for any final thoughts, any other uh, thoughts that we have.
Uh,
So
no, not at all. I think there were a lot of great points touched on.
yep.
I'm just grateful to have this opportunity in general to speak to a head coach. And no, the floor is yours, Ferris, to go ahead and ask.
Yeah, okay, coach. So just one more question I had. So I think we kind of got into this a little bit, but not maybe very loosely. But is there anything you would have you changed in your playing days to where you are now, like differently?
No, I truly feel that what got me to where I am today is from the right decisions I made and then learning from the bad decisions I made.
Hmm.
Who's to say if I maybe substituted one of those bad decisions I made with a good decision that I would be right here where I am now.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm not getting rich by coaching at COD, but I can go to bed at night believing in what I'm doing, believing I'm changing lives.
Yep.
Proud of the program I have here, and to me that's more than getting rich. So you know, I don't think I'd change anything. I love where I'm at, and I love that the fact that even the positives and the negatives have shaped me into where I am today.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kind of add on to that, I mean, this would probably be the last thing we have, but I remember Diego pitched this question himself. But do you see yourself? I know you've only been at COD here for a brief period of time, but do you see yourself going anywhere else potentially later in your career? I mean, if you had that opportunity come about.
I never say never. Of course, with the success, people put feelers out, reached out, see what would get me to leave. Um, but at this point, I'm in an institution that I believe in and that I love.
Yep.
Um, I have an athletic director and a support staff and a coaching staff here that is mutually aligned with what I'm trying to do here, that support me, and an administration here. I know Dr. Caputo just retired.
Hmm.
Sad to see him go,
Hmm.
but this administration has been great with being a platform of how I think junior college football should be,
Hmm.
and so it would take a lot for me to leave. It wouldn't be just a money thing. This program would have to go in a direction, or the administration would have to put me in a position where I couldn't run this the way I wanted to, or the program goes in a direction like a Last Chance U, where I'd want to be out from that.
Hmm.
But other than that, like I don't see many other places I could go and have the same satisfaction and have the same love I have for the place, the kids, and the success that we're having. And when I say success, it's not the national championships and the winning the games. That's a byproduct. The success we had I believe we're in our 67th year of a football program at College of DuPage. And after my first year as a head coach in 2021, we broke the program record of most guys leaving on scholarship. And then in 2022, we rebroke it again. So the doing it, looking at success of guys leaving with better opportunities than when they came in here is a byproduct that is the winning and is the national championships.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was thinking about that question. I know you show lots of happiness and satisfaction now, because like AJ said, you played at this school and now you're coaching at it. So there's not much left for you to achieve like satisfaction, even if it's, like, and you said it, not all of it has to be financially related, and, as long as you're, coming to work every day and, being happy and, knowing that you, achieve something different every day, whether it's helping a player, do this drill differently and, catch a ball on, a certain hash mark. There's just so much, that you can be proud of. And yeah, I mean, if you have anything, I think you said that was their last one there for Coach, but if you have any other questions, we'd love to hear it.
Not any questions, but I just want to say, Coach, it's been nice talking to you these last couple of minutes because I know sometimes people get different ideas of how coaches are, or they look at one coach and think everybody's like that. But you seem like a coach that, like if I was still playing football, I would want to come play for you. And
I appreciate that.
I think you're the type of coach that people need to see because it's not like you said. It's not all about the money. It's not about the fame. It's about you. You do it because you love to do it, and that's. I just want to say that's awesome to see.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on here with us. I know, I see you busy every day. Walking in from the field, from the weight room. So I know you're busy and you're only getting busier. But I'll see you around on campus hopefully, and we'll talk then. But yeah, Coach, just thank you for taking the time to be on here with us.
Yep, no problem, guys. I appreciate it. Let me know if you guys need anything.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks for hopping on, and I'll make sure to cap off the recording. All right, I'll see you guys. Have a good weekend.
I see you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.